All right, guys, buckle up. Today we're exploring some powerhouse tools in Make.com: AI, APIs, and error handling. These are the big players that take your automation game from cool to absolutely unstoppable. Imagine having AI handle your responses, APIs grab any data you need, and error handling that keeps everything running smooth as butter. We'll break down each step so you can integrate them with zero hassle. By the end of this video, you'll be automating like a pro. Are you ready? Let's jump in. First of all, thanks for coming back, and a big welcome to all the new subscribers joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jake Dawson, and I'm here to bring you the latest in AI sales automation and workflow hacks in a way that's easy to understand and apply. And as always, remember that everything we cover here is to help you succeed. These are not just theories, but actionable strategies that you can use right now. Now, if you're new here or looking for more ways to level up, don't forget to check out the school community we have linked below. Inside, you'll find exclusive Make.com templates, including the one that we're using today, that you can import directly and start using immediately. We've built a whole space for learners and doers just like you, where you can ask questions, get direct help, and connect with like-minded folks ready to take action. And of course, you can always subscribe and hit that bell button to get notified of our bi-weekly videos, live sessions, and more. All right, let's jump in. Now we're stepping into the world of AI modules in Make.com, and this is where the real magic kicks in. Think of these AI tools like OpenAI, Anthropic, Grok, and Perplexity as your personal assistants ready to take on the heavy lifting. Whether you need to summarize reviews, create responses, or organize data into neat categories, these modules are like adding a brain to your automations, making everything way smarter. So, why would you want AI in your automations? Imagine sending perfectly personalized emails based on each customer's data, pulling valuable insights straight from feedback automatically, or even whipping up blog post ideas without lifting a finger. AI does the brain work, you set the strategy, and Make.com handles the flow. Here's how to dive in. For OpenAI, go to their API key page. Log in or sign up if you haven't already. Click on Create New Secret Key and copy that key. This key is basically your VIP pass to connect OpenAI features with Make.com. For Anthropic, head over to their API access page. You'll find it in the account settings, but the link might vary based on your account type. Once you're there, look for the option to create a new API key. Go ahead and generate it and copy it down. Simple as that. If you're working with Grok, log into your Grok API management console. Navigate to the section called API tokens or keys, whatever they're calling it these days, and create a new token. Once you've got it, copy it and keep it handy. And for Perplexity, sign into their API portal. Head over to the API section and create your API key. Copy this key too, and you're all set. I've added links to each platform in the description so you can jump right in and spot without hunting around. All right, here's the deal. Once you're in Make.com and ready to roll, it's time to bring in some AI power to your scenario. Start by clicking the big plus button to add a new module. In the search bar, type in the name of the AI service you want to use, like OpenAI or Perplexity. When it pops up, select it. This is where the magic begins. Now, you'll see an option to connect your account. Don't worry, it's super easy. Click the Add button to start a new connection. A window will pop up asking you for your API key, and here's where you get to use that key you just carefully saved earlier. Just pasted it in, and that key becomes the bridge that lets Make.com talk directly with the AI service. After pasting in the API key, go ahead and click Save or Continue. Make.com will check to make sure everything's set, and if it all looks good, you're connected. Now you're ready to configure the model for exactly what you need it to do, whether that's generating some fresh text, analyzing data, or whatever fits your goal. Now for the fun part, telling the AI exactly what to do. Here's where you get to write out your instructions in the prompt field. Be specific, like summarize this review in 2 sentences, or write a friendly welcome email to a new user. There's also settings called max tokens, which controls how much the AI says. Think of it like a word count. More tokens if you want longer responses like summaries or a paragraph. Fewer for quick messages or short classifications. At this point, you've got the AI module all set up. but you can supercharge it by connecting other modules. Want to send emails? Add Gmail and use the AI-generated text as the email body. Need a record of these actions? Connect Google Sheets and log everything in a spreadsheet. Working with a CRM? Hook up HubSpot or Salesforce and let AI update contact profiles automatically based on the insight it generates. Finally, it's time to test. Hit run once and watch everything flow. The AI will generate its response, and you'll see it go straight to your connected modules like Gmail or Google Sheets. If anything looks off, just go back, tweak the prompt, or adjust the max tokens until you've got it just right. And there you have it. A setup with AI that'll save you tons of time and make your workflows run like clockwork. Plus, if you've been hanging in here with me, remember there's a link below to download all the templates we covered in this video, so you can jump in and start building right away. Now that you've got some basics and some advanced understandings of Make.com modules, let's talk about a common module and structure that you'll find in many automations. And it's called JSON. JSON, or JavaScript Object Notation, is just a fancy way to organize information so it's easy to read and use. Think of it as a digital filing system. At its core, JSON works with key value pairs. Picture it like labeling items. You've got a label, or key, that tells you what the info is. And then you've got the actual info itself, or the value. So if we're talking about name as the key and Jake as the value, it's like saying, hey, this person's name is Jake. Why is it so useful? Well, JSON is easy for both humans and computers to read. So when you're ordering a pizza online, JSON might be hard at work behind the scenes, keeping track of what you ordered, your address, and any special requests like extra cheese. Now on Make.com, JSON comes in handy when you're moving around info that's all packaged up like this. When you connect certain apps, the data often arrives in JSON format. So if you're working with details like someone's name, age, or preferences, JSON lets you access each bit of data individually and use it however you need. Want to create your own JSON? Easy. In Make.com, bring in the Tools module and use the action Set Variable, then give it a name and type in your JSON structure. Make.com keeps it organized and ready for any step in your workflow. Next, let's add details for each piece of information you want to pull out from the JSON data. Think of it like creating labels for each bit of data so Make.com knows exactly what to find and where to put it. Under New Item, you'll start by entering the name field, which is basically a label or key for the specific piece of information you're looking to capture. So if you're pulling an email address, you'd enter email here. And if it's your favorite food, you type in favorite food. This label is like a quick identifier that tells Make.com exactly what to look for in the JSON data. Next, you'll choose the type for each item. The type tells Make.com what kind of information it should expect. For example, if it's a name, you'll pick text because it's made up of letters. If it's an age or a price, you'll select number, so Make.com knows it's dealing with digits. If it's a date, you might choose date or timestamp, so it's correctly handled in the workflow. By setting up these details, you're basically giving Make.com a set of instructions on what to look for and how to handle each piece of data. When sending data out to other apps, you can use the HTTP module in Make.com to format your info as JSON. Just type in your data structure, send it off, and the other app will read it perfectly. A few tips. Always keep your JSON neat and check for missing commas or brackets. It's like making sure all your ingredients are prepared before starting a recipe. And if you're ever dealing with a big pile of data, the JSON parser is your best friend for grabbing specific details quickly. So that's JSON in a nutshell. It keeps all your data organized so Make.com can work its magic without you having to sort through a pile of info by hand. Next up in our Make.com course are iterators, your best friend when dealing with lists of items. Imagine you're sitting on a pile of leads, maybe a dozen contacts from a recent sign-up form, and you want to reach out to each of them individually. An iterator is like a conveyor belt for this list. It takes each lead one by one, giving each its moment in the spotlight, so you can handle them separately rather than all at once. Perfect for personal touches or customized responses, right? So here's how you set it up. First, find where that list is coming from. Maybe you use Google Sheets to pull a bunch of new rows, or maybe in our case, we'll create a list using the JSON module we just learned about, with each object being one lead that has different types of data. Now let's add an iterator to the scenario. The iterator module will take that JSON and break it down into individual pieces, or bundles, as Make calls them. Then you set it to perform your chosen action one by one. Each item flows through, getting individual treatment, whether it's an email, an update to a CRM, or an entry in a log. Picture it like this. One lead pops up, you send a personalized email. Next lead, same thing, and it goes on until each lead gets exactly what it needs. Test it out by running the scenario and watch as Make.com goes through the list item by item, giving each lead individual action that you've set up. So next time you're staring down at a list thinking, how can I handle each of these without doing it manually? Think iterator. It's like having a digital helper that's all about focusing on one thing at a time, but in rapid succession. Now let's dive into aggregators, the perfect partner to iterators when it comes to handling data in bulk. Imagine you've got a list of uncontacted leads sitting in Google Sheets. Instead of pinging your team with a notification for each one of them, you'll just want to send out a single message, something like, hey team, here's today's list of folks we need to reach out to. This is where aggregators shine. An aggregator takes all those separate items and wraps them up into one nice package. So rather than having 10 notifications, you just get one message that lists all the leads. Clean, simple, and easy on the notifications. To set this up, start by pulling in your list, maybe our JSON that shows all of our leads. Then after the iterator module, add an array aggregator module. This is where you decide how the message will look. Choose which fields to include, like each lead's name, email, or budget. So here you don't have to use all the data from our leads, just the relevant data for your task. So everything shows up in one line, making it nice and readable. Once the aggregator's ready, you can decide where the summary goes. Maybe it's a Slack channel, or a summary email, or even a project management tool. Run tests so you see all those individual items beautifully combined into one tidy message. Now picture combining iterators and aggregators. The iterator goes through each lead to see if they're high priority, while the aggregator compiles a daily summary of just those top leads. By using both, you can quickly identify the important contacts and share a clear, consolidated list. This combo keeps your workflow efficient, focused, and free from notification overload. In short, iterators make sure you don't miss a single item, while aggregators keeps things neat. And speaking of keeping things running smoothly, let's dive into error handling. The secret sauce in keeping your automations running like a well-oiled machine is definitely error handling, even when things don't go quite as planned. So, at some point, every automation hits a little bump in the road. But with error handling, you can make sure that those bumps don't derail everything. So what kind of errors are we talking about here? You might see a rate limit exceeded error if your automation tries to ping an app too many times in a short period. Or maybe you run into connectivity issues with external apps or missing fields. Knowing the type of errors you're dealing with helps you set up just the right response. Now let's get into the heart of it, the error handler. Think of this as your automation's built-in plan B that kicks in whenever things go sideways. There are a few options. Break. This is the let's take a pause option. It stops the whole scenario if something fails, but not before giving it 3 tries with a 15-minute break in between each attempt. If it still can't get past the issue after these 3 retries, it stops safely without causing chaos. Ignore. This one's for the keep calm and carry on moments. It lets your scenario just skip over the error and continue with the next item. No retries, no interruptions. Perfect for low-stake parts of your automation. Resume. It's like ignore, but with a slight twist. It skips the error, but still finishes any remaining steps. So if you don't want one hiccup to throw off the whole sequence, resume's your buddy there. Sleep. With sleep, you're telling Make.com to pause for a set time before retrying, which is super helpful if your error is something temporary, like a rate limit or server lag. To set this up, just right-click on the module where you think an error might happen, select Add Error Handler, and drop it below the module. For most scenarios, Break is your best bet because it'll pause, retry, and only give up if absolutely necessary. Here's how it works. Imagine you have an automation that's set to send out a batch of emails, say a friendly reminder or a follow-up note to a long list of contacts. Now, here's the thing. Email providers often have limits on how many emails you can send in a short amount of time. And if you hit that limit, it could shut down your workflow, stop sending emails, or worse, flag your account for spamming. No one wants that, right? This is where the sleep module comes in. Before you get into the bulk email action, drop a sleep module in there to space things out, giving each email a moment before the next one goes out. Think of it like adding a breather between each send. So instead of firing off emails rapid fire, your automation sends one, pauses, and then moves on to the next. Let's break it down. You start with a list of contacts and you want each one to get an email. First, set up your iterator to handle each email individually. Then, right before the email module, add a sleep module with a delay of maybe 5 to 10 seconds. This pause gives each email its own dedicated time, reducing the risks of tripping over any send limits. Now, let's say an email still fails to send. Maybe the email address is invalid or there's a temporary issue with the server. That's where the error handler kicks in. If an email fails, the break error handler stops the action, waits, and retries up to 3 times before moving on to the next contact. And Make.com will send you an email notification if things still go sideways after all that, so you know exactly which email needs a little extra attention. In a nutshell, using a sleep module with error handling for bulk emails keeps everything running smoothly. You avoid server overloads, reduce the chances of hitting send limits, and let Make.com handle retries automatically if anything goes wrong. It's a simple addition that makes bulk email sending way more reliable. All right, next in Make.com, we dive into APIs and webhooks. These are the real heavy hitters in automation. So earlier in the video, I explained how APIs are like little messengers carrying requests from one app to another and bringing back answers without you having to lift a finger. Now, let's talk about how Make.com's HTTP module makes it easy to work with these APIs, even for apps that aren't directly supported by Make.com. So, here's the basic idea of an API request in Make.com. It's like saying, hey, can I get this data? And sending that request to another app. In Make.com, we use the HTTP module to send this kind of request. Here's how it works in a nutshell. First, you've got the request itself, which goes to a specific URL called an endpoint, where the app is listening and ready to respond. Each request type does something different. GET requests are for grabbing data, like pulling up contacts in a CRM, while POST requests are for sending new info to the app. So if you're trying to grab all your customers' contacts from your CRM, that's a GET request. Then we've got the response. The API hears your request, processes it, and sends it back for what you asked. Names, emails, you name it. Make.com pulls in that data and boom. Now you can use it in your scenario however you'd like. Let's say you want to grab some info from a CRM that doesn't have a Make.com integration. No problem. You just get the API endpoint from the CRM's API docs, set your request to GET if you're pulling in info, or POST if you want to do the opposite, which is to update info in your CRM. Pop in your API key and you're all set. In our case, Make.com pulls in the data and now you can use it for whatever you want to in your workflow. Now let's switch gears to webhooks. A webhook is basically an instant notification system. It's all about real-time updates. Unlike APIs, where Make.com has to go out and check for updates, a webhook just waits for the event like someone filling out a form and sends that info straight to Make.com in real time. Setting up a webhook is pretty straightforward. You add a webhook module and it gives you a unique URL. You take that URL and drop it into the settings of whatever app you're using, like a CRM or form tool, and choose what event you want to trigger the webhook. Let's run through an example. Imagine you have a lead form on your website. Every time someone fills it out, a webhook sends that info straight over to Make.com. And from there, Make.com can automatically handle the lead by adding them to your CRM, sending out a welcome email, and even notifying your team, all without any manual work. It's instant automation at its best. So, why are the APIs and webhooks such a big deal in Make.com? They make it possible to connect with just about any app out there, even if it isn't pre-built integration. APIs are perfect when you need to go and grab or send data, while webhooks let you kick off workflows right when something important happens. Together, they're like the ultimate automation dream team, giving you flexibility and speed to automate pretty much anything. To wrap it up, APIs help you fetch and send data when you need it, while webhooks act as real-time triggers that launch workflows as soon as something goes down. They're the secret ingredients that make Make.com automation super powerful, keeping everything in sync and freeing you up to focus on the good stuff. All right, let's wrap this up and take a moment to appreciate just how much Make.com can do. It's like having a supercharged assistant who doesn't just connect all your apps, but makes sure that they play together perfectly, automating your workflows, keeping things organized, and even handling hiccups along the way. And there you have it. If this video helped you out, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know whenever a new video drops. And hey, if you're sitting there like, this is gold, but I need more automation magic, you're in the right place. Down in the description, you'll find a link to our school community. It's a paradise for automation lovers. Think templates, resources, and a whole crew of guys and girls who geek out on making life smoother. We're talking everything from streamlining your emails to reminders that will tell you when it's time to grab a coffee or do a quick stretch. But here's the cherry on top. Just for hanging out with me all the way to the end, I've got a little gift waiting for you. I've bundled up all the templates we went over today, and they're yours to download for free. Just scroll down to the description, grab them, and get ready to take your automations to the next level. So remember, work smarter, not harder, and keep that automation game strong. Thanks for watching, and keep crushing it. I'll see you in the next video.